This video is sponsored by Rewarded View. Are you tired of just scrolling through your phone without making any profit from it? Well, Rewarded View is for you. If you have an Android phone, then head over to rewarded-views.premier.ai, download the app, and start earning today. All you have to do is create your accounts, watch videos, and get paid for each and every video that you watch. So, what are you waiting for today? Download Rewarded Views and earn the smart way.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing? How's your day going? I'm just starting. How was your night? Hope you had are having an amazing and a beautiful day today. For those of you who don't know this yet, my name is Praise. I am currently tuned into Data Decoded, your go-to source for data analysis, machine learning, and everything surrounding or in between. Today, we're going to be starting with the very basic, which is going to be our introduction to data analysis and Excel. And for our introduction, we're basically going to have to cover what is data analysis. The name kind of explains most of the basic or gives you a base understanding of what data analysis is. But data analysis is the process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, and modeling data to uncover useful information, conclusions, and support decision making. Basically, data analysis is just taking raw data, cleaning the data, that is like making it understandable, extracting information you actually need, and then from this cleaned data, giving out your analysis, your conclusions, or extracting basic information or reasonable information that would be needed by the company in question. It involves various techniques and methods to understand patterns, relationship, trends, and trends within data sets, all of which we're going to cover in this series. We're going to firstly start with Excel, and after Excel, we're going to move further into visualization tools, working with Python, and so on and so forth. And in more series to come up, we'll start working with other tech that assist in data analysis. But this video is going to be surrounded, but this series is going to be focusing on working with the Excel, working with visualization tools, working with Python as your programming language to use and visualize data, and go a step further to create models, that is basic machine learning models from those data using amazing tools like scikit-learn, and finally working on some projects which you can add to your resume. So if you have any questions, or you would like to have any question, you would like to contact me or have me explain something more better and in more detail for you, feel free to leave a comment if you are watching this on YouTube, or I will provide a link to a form somewhere on the screen with the QR code so you can just scan it and then drop your question. I would answer as many questions as I can. If you wish to support this course or support this course, I'm going to leave a GoFundMe person, not really a GoFundMe, but a link to where you can donate. Whatever you want to donate to be highly appreciated. But yeah, without further ado, let's take a step further. So when you start talking about the whole analyzing of data, you will be thrown into a big loop of where you see things like data analysis, data engineering, data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all of which will be covered sometimes. So we'll have different tutorials covering those individually. But two of the most common ones that you usually come across is data analysis and data science. And a lot of people always find it hard to differentiate what is data analysis, what is data science, and of recent, data engineering has started joining the loop. But you may be asking yourself that if I want to go down a certain path, how will I know which one I want to go down? How will I know what type of developer I want to become? So data analysis are more backward looking. You have a set of data that has already been collected, and you now start reflecting on that data and making suggestions based on that data, or analyzing the way that data performed. While in data science, you are forward looking, that is, yes, you would obviously reference pre existing data, but the whole goal of data science is to predict the future, which is where you start working with more advanced techs like um, machine learning and artificial intelligence. Data analysis is not programming heavy, which is where you find yourself working with things like Excel and visualization tools like Power BI or Tableau. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. And while data science is more programming heavy, this is where you find yourself working with things like Python, R, And I recently just discovered that a lot of people actually do this using C++. So I'm going to be looking into that sometime soon. But one thing they do always have in common is data visualization. This is just visualizing your data graphically or whatever floats your boat. So why data analysis? Why do we need to analyze our data? Well, if it's not already very clear, it's a faster and a better way to make business decisions, to reduce overall costs, and develop new and innovative products and services. Some real world applications are in the financial fields for maybe like loan analysis to tell you whether a certain person should be granted a loan. In healthcare, where you would have like people with common symptoms, and maybe before you actually take them to a domain expert or a consultant or a surgeon or whoever, if you could analyze based on these symptoms you have, there is a high chance that you may be suffering from this or that. In retail selling, kind of like to guide you. There are different ways you can use it, but a good example would be like guide you on what product you should purchase next, what products you should involve in, maybe reduce the amount of this product and increase the amount you buy for a certain product. In marketing, you can use maybe you want to advertise your products. You can say, okay, I've noticed that in certain areas, social media ads tend to do better than radio ads or banners or posters, and in the government. So this is just but a few. There are so many other ways data is used. And down the line, when we start working with different data sets, you would actually come across to see how all these data are used in real world um in real world application. Now, what are the processes involved in analyzing data? First thing you obviously need to do is define the question. You need to understand why you are analyzing this data. You cannot just enter an example and start solving problems that you don't know. So you need to understand the question. You need to actually get, okay, what do I want? What am I planning on achieving with this? So you can kind of have like a guide to help you actually achieve what you want to achieve. Next thing you need to do is actually collect the data, whether you're going to be using data that has already been extracted, like getting your data from sites like cargo and so on and so forth. Or if you are going to be manually getting those data, either from extracting them from things around you or using other methods like interviews, feedbacks, analysis, stuff like that. You then need to clean the data. This is where you start eradicating things like duplicate, um, mm, blank spaces, um, so many things. We're going to touch all this as the course progresses. And that is you when you now finally analyze data and then interpret the data. Now we are going to start um reading the we're going to start with the Excel basis. But before we start, let's get a base understanding of what Excel is. Now, Excel is a powerful spreadsheet program used for storing, organizing, and analyzing data. It usually does this by storing the data within cells, which is a merging point between columns and rows. So we're going to see a visual presentation of it shortly. But I'm going to provide you with this PDF so you can just have a general understanding of what each or the structure of an Excel program. I don't have Excel because you have to pay for Excel, and if I want to use the online version, then it's going to be interrupted by my data. So by my network. So if you wish to enable me to actually afford Excel, feel free to donate. No one is stopping you. But yeah, this data sheet which we are going to be using is going to be provided for you. But this is just a sample data sheet. Just ignore everything now. We're going to clean this data shortly. But let's understand how Excel works. So I'm just going to be touching a few things, working with a few shortcuts. And as we progress, we're going to come and see more things. Let's use this for this. So the first thing you need to know is this here is the name box. So the way the name works is the first letter, the first reading, which is the alphabet, is representing the column. So the column is the stuff that runs. I keep mixing this basically. So this column is currently C. So we have that C, and next is now going to be the row, which is the one running horizontally. So if you pick a cell, maybe that is here, its column is C and its row is one, which means the name of the cell is C1. So this is a cell, this is the row, this is the row, this is the column. Over here is a formula bar that allows you modify it. We're going to see more of it shortly. If you want to format something, that exists within a cell, or maybe within the row, or maybe just want to change you can do so by using a very simple command line, which is control and one, and it's going to format the drop down, pop up a format cell box. So you see different ways formatting, like when you're working with numerical data and so on and so forth. We're going to touch on this later. If you want to add new rows and column, a shortcode, you can either um right click and you can insert it at which position you want to do so. But another way to do this is by using Control, Shift, and press the equal to button. Then, if you want to remove this, just do Control and press the subtract button. So it's very straightforward. If you wish to hide a column which maybe you don't need as of now, just right click and click on hide, and it's just going to shrink it. Anytime you wish to access it again, you can always expand it. This way, maybe you have a set of data in your data set, or a row, or a feature. Well, the feature is more of a Python term, but just this row, this food here is the feature. So these are all like substandard features, but just ignore it for now. We don't need to know this. But if we don't want to work with this food column right now, but down the line we may need to access it. So deleting it will not be wise. We can just hide it, and whenever we tell you want to access it to just unhide it. I have just like a list of things I need to cover so I will not forget anything. If you want to adjust the width, adjusting the width is very easy. So if you come back to this corner, you can see some things over here are not labeled well. So there are two ways you can go about this. You can be a lazy person and just come here and just drag it to when you feel it fits. But another way to do this is to come over to your rows and columns and either auto fit height or the fit width depending on what it is you want to adjust. So if you do auto fit width, if you look back at your set, you see that everything has been adjusted. Another thing I want to touch on is tables. So tables helps you to better carry out certain analysis on it. So if you just were to highlight everything like this, come over to our insert tab and we'll see table. Then you see you can just select if you want to manualize it, you just select the range of cells where you want the table to cover. You select or like since we highlighted it, it's just automatically input it here. Then my table has headers because we have this date, food, and drinks. I'll just press okay, and it's created a table for us. And now that this table has been created, there are now some features or some things we can carry out on this table. An example is if you come back to this table tool, you can see over here we have the header row. You can do first column. You just like display special formatting for the first column of table. We don't want all these things here. What we want to add is this total row. So just sum up everything and give us the total. So you can always edit what this stuff actually does. If you don't want to be a sum, you can make it select the max, the average. It's all up to you depending on what analysis you want to carry out. But yeah, so let's touch on something called conditional formatting. Now, conditional formatting, we're going to touch on a bit more on it later. But I'm just going to just show you how it works, so don't worry yourself about it. We have a bunch of things we want to kind of not differentiate per se, but want to be able to visually view it and have a better understanding. Take for example this stuff. We can see a bunch of different figures. The data set we're working with now is very little. So technically from just eyeballing it, you'll be able to say one or two things about it. But let's say we had a very large data set. We wanted to see where the drinks we had were either too little, too much, or just right. One way you can do this is come over to your up tab here, click on conditional formatting. So there are different ways you can format it. You can we just will not like I said, don't bother yourself. Let's just use data bars. So we can use data bars and we can now just choose like let's use color skills instead. So we'll have different colors to signify where it was good, just there. So if just from looking at it, we know if let's use a different color skill. Let's use a different color skill. So now we can see places where the green is more concentrated. That is where we had excess drinks, where it's just a little bit milder. It was just more average, and where it's like overly faint, we know we had a limited amount of drinks. So you can use just when you want to be able to just look at your data set and just be able to say one or two things about the data set without actually having to go through the whole analysis process. We're going to touch on this a bit later, but for now, that is all you need to know. I just want you to know where the conditional formatting is. And now let's work on things like formulas. So for mathematics, you've been doing formulas for a while. When we turn this into a table, we were able to work on some formulas. But what if you want to manually do that? So there are so many formulas which you can read about. If you want to find them, just come up here, click on formulas, and you'll see all the different formulas that exist. So you can just go on the internet and Google what formula you want to have. But let us do here. We'll just use a very simple formula. So this the way or the format for the syntax for okay formulas in Excel is very easy. Just have your equal to sign. After you have your equal to sign, you're now going to call on the function you want. But this way you now have a fine line between what's a formula and what's a function. Mathematically, a formula is just going to be, let's say, we want to do B6 plus B whatever, press enter is going to sum it up. That is a formula. But when you now start working with things like a function, this is where you now start working with actual functions. So instead of doing that manually, we can now use things like sum. So just do some capital letter. Now, one of the advantages of working with functions and formula, if you want to sum up everything here using just the formula method, you have to be manually doing plus this plus that plus that. What if you have a very long list? One way you can go about this is just holding and just dragging it down, and then we're just going to close our parentheses, and that is going to sum every single thing up. So, like I said, there's so many other formulas which as time progresses, we're going to touch on a few of them. But on your own, you can just come over to the formula bar here and just look at them or use the internet to browse what you want. But yeah, that's going to be all for this section of this series. And in the next one, we're going to go a bit further in Excel and start actually cleaning data. If you have any question, like I said, scan this QR code so that you can head over to our Google form and drop your question, or you can just feel free to donate to this course if your heart desires. If you are watching this on YouTube and you would like to get the full course, I'm going to leave a link to our Udemy um, platform in the description below so you can go over there and get the course for yourself. But without further ado, without having been expressed with you guys, see you guys whenever we see. Okay, so we're going to round up this first part by dealing with data cleaning. So I've already been mentioning data cleaning multiple times so far, but data cleaning is the process of fixing or removing incorrect, corrupted, incorrectly formatted, duplicate or incomplete data within the data set. This is basically, like I said earlier, just removing things that are not there within the data set, maybe irrelevant information, get rid of blank spaces, get rid of duplicates, just things that would make your overall data to be inaccurate, and to also, since we're in Excel, make it not to be visually appealing. Like if you look at this data set we have here, it looks very much polyformatted. So the first thing we need to do is actually adjust the width, which is something that I showed you guys how to do. So you, like I said, you could now do it manually, or you could select everything using Control A, head over to your home, click on rows and columns. So first let's auto fit height, and we're also going to auto fit column width. Now you can see the dates that were showing in hashtags have now become visible. So this data sets from Kenja explains, but now let's look at over here. So if you notice, we have in our parentheses, we have like some of these stuff which technically are not relevant information. So if you want to get rid of them, we can just use our find and replace. So either use Control H, or you just come over here, they will see find and replace. But what we're trying to look for, we're looking for parentheses. They want to find everything that is within a parenthesis. So we use asterisk because we cannot manually start inputting everything. They will just leave here blank since we just want to replace it with nothing. We're going to click on replace all, and you can see it replaces that. The next thing we want to do is, next now we want to format the strings. What am I pressing? So we want to deal with this client tab here and this contact tab over here. So let's start with the client tab. So let's just create a new blank uh, sheet. So we're just going to do Control Shift Plus to create a new cell like we spoke about in our last video. So we're going to name this one client also. Now we're going to use a little bit of a function here. So like I said, if you want to work with functions or formulas, first thing going to be equal to. Now if we want to change everything here to lowercase, so our text will not look as if it's shouting at us. To do this, you just do lower. It's supposed to be in capital letters, so it's just going to automatically give us that. Now within this, we want to select this one text here. And from here, we're just going to press enter. It's automatically going to turn into lowercase. Now, I want to do this for everything, but this data set is quite small. But imagine it was a larger one. We don't want to do this manually. So all we just come over here to when our cursor changes and just double tap, and it's going to do that for everything running downwards. Now, we don't want to have this, so we want to remove this. But if we remove this, it's going to affect this because if you can look, this stuff is not showing the same text here, it's just a reference. So in order to fix this, we want to select everything running down. So if you want to do that, just do shift and the control shift and the down arrow. And now we're going to copy control C, come over here to where we want to paste the same thing, control shift and the down arrow. And in our home tab, we're going to come back to paste and we're going to paste it as values. So now if you click on it here, you can see everything is going to look as individual text. So just come over here and we're going to do control minus to get rid of that. Now let's create a new cell also. And this one is going to be for the contact. So since it's names, we don't want our names to be lowercase. We want each of the like B capital, S capital. So it's way to do this kind of like the exact same thing, but instead of lower, we're going to use something called proper. If you're a Python developer, you would know this as capitalize, but we're using proper. This enter, come over here to the side, double tap, everything runs along. We're going to strip and split this set. That doesn't sound right. But let's, I think everything's already selected. So control C, come here, shift down. What should I do? God. Control shift down arrow, paste as values, and this column are going to control remove. Now we are going to just create a new cell again, and now we're going to remove the white space. So if you've worked with programming generally, you already should be familiar with something called trim. I think trim should be like for Java, I guess, and I think in Python it's strip. But yeah, so we're going to do equal to trim, select the text, wrong text, select the text you want to trim. Which one do you need to be? Press enter, and we're just going to run it down to the end. Control C to copy, come from view, control shift down arrow. Oh god, someone should help me today. Control shift down arrow, come over to paste as values, and we can get rid of this whole column. Okay, now the next thing we want to do, we want to handle duplicate. So let's just select our whole select our whole program. So this data tab here has a lot of things that will help us with working with like and with analyzing data. So we can see they have over here highlight duplicate. If you want to like select where all the duplicates are, I'm sure most of the commands are going to be different if you're using Excel. So once again, if you want me to be able to use Excel so you can understand this tutorial better if you're using Excel, feel free to donate. I'll pop up on the screen now. Here are um donation link, so support wherever you can. But we're going to go back to manage duplicates, and we want to remove the duplicates. Why am I not seeing it here? Um oh sorry, was it also not highlight duplicates? So not highlight duplicates, we see remove duplicates. I'll just click on remove duplicate, and it's going to tell us how many duplicates were found and removed. I'll just press OK. So I've got rid of the duplicates, which is something you always need to do. Now we need to handle um we need to handle blank spaces. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to um, go to our home tab, back to the find. So we're going to use go to. So we're going to look for blanks. Okay. Um, Click on go to. Now we'll say enter the text. So don't click on the cell. Come over to the formula bar over here. I will click what I want to replace it with. Let's just use n bracket a. Now instead of just pressing enter, you're going to press shift enter so it will fill in every single blank and write it down. Come, let's try that again. Or is it supposed to be control? Let me try control. Oh yeah, sorry, I made a mistake. Control enter, not shift enter. So it's going to fill out all the blank values here with NA, and we accidentally selected here. So let's just get rid of that. So we just select this whole row. I will do control minus to delete it. Okay. Now, if you come over to this place, profit margin here where we did calculations, you will see that we're getting like hashtag value. This is like a value error. So this is because we are using any here. So in order to handle this is the formula we're using to calculate it, right? But we want to make a difference. So we're going to use a function called if error. So let us come to this very first one here so that we can handle it better. We're going to say in capital letter if error parentheses, then the formula we want to calculate, and next is going to want to replace it with is an error. We can either use a numerical value or we're just going to use strings n a, when my caps lock was on. Okay. And we can press enter, double quotations. Okay. Now we're just going to run it down to the end, and it's going to replace that calculation error with any. So yeah, that is it. Any other thing I did now is just personal touches, but yeah, that is us clean the data. So if you want more of this, we're going to go into the next. But I think what is the next thing we want to cover? So we're going to cover more Excel functions, working with things like VLOOKUP, sums, average, count. So yeah, tune in for the next video and don't have a video for the day. Bye.